Hi elementary IICS teachers, how are you? I hope you're enjoying your mid-semester break at the moment. I've had a plan for a little while to try and use some of the videos that we've been recording, Miss Shirley and I, to encourage you and to also give you some teaching tips that may be helpful for your future. Some of you might know that I'm currently studying about education and leadership, and I also thought that perhaps I could give you some videos which will encourage and inspire you to be honouring Christ in your teaching and your and the way that we interact at school and how we build the Christ-like community that we have. It's been a real pleasure for me to be working more closely in the elementary this year, and I am inspired and encouraged by the great community that already exists. So let's keep doing that, and let's keep inspiring and encouraging one another and work together for Christ and to glorify Him in all that we do. In this video, I will talk to you about something that really touched my heart yesterday and today as I've been completing my studies. There's a guy called Hull. He says that all Christian schools are removed from the vision and the mission that they have. And he talks about this gap that exists between the rhetoric, so between what is spoken about the school and the vision and direction it's going, and the reality of the school and what's happening in the day-to-day running. And he says every Christian school faces this gap. And he talks about the fact that we can't ignore it and we should try and address that gap. And that gap is also something that we should try and close, so we should always be seeking to be more Christ-like and live out the vision that our school has. And now our school has a vision to be an excellent Christian educational institution which declares Christ as the source of all wisdom and knowledge. And if we are considerate of Hull's findings, then we have to recognise that sometimes our school does not reach that vision. But my question to you today is, how do you respond to that gap that exists? How do you live out each day at our school when you see something that happens which you feel disappointed by, or you feel like that's not what our school's about, or you just think, come on, we're a Christian school. Now, I've worked at many schools, many Christian schools in Australia. In Indonesia, this school is where I work, obviously, but I have visited and met teachers from other schools around Indonesia, teachers and leaders, and they also face this frustration, and it's a difficult one to face. Peterson and Deal also talk about this. They say that good schools, even good schools, can harbour toxic subcultures, oppositional groups of staff or parents who want to spread a sense of frustration, enemy, and hopelessness. My challenge to you is, when you notice that gap, are you a teacher who engages in toxic conversations or a toxic subculture that exists within your own home, friends, at school in the staff room, or even with parents? Or do you address that gap and the difference between reality and what is spoken by living a life of purity and glorifying God in your attitude about that? Do you see the impact that you can have on our school in your response to that gap? Do you see that you can be someone who makes a change in our school, who responds to that gap by, rather than criticizing or blaming someone or just being angry and gossiping, who says, hey, I should pray for that situation? Or, hey, how can I encourage that person or speak words of truth into that circumstance in order so that it can change? Or, hey, these guys are speaking negatively about something. How can I turn the conversation to be honouring of Christ? How can I be a positive change agent within our school, and how can we eradicate any toxic subcultures that exist? Because as we know in the research, it says even in good schools there are toxic subcultures. And I just want to challenge you, don't be a part of that. Don't be a part of toxic subcultures. Be a change agent in our school. Be someone who really lives out what Christ wants you to live out. Glorify Him in your actions every day, every moment of the day, as much as we can. And in Philippians, it talks about us needing to press on towards the goal, to win the prize of God's heavenly calling in Christ Jesus. And that's difficult to do. It's difficult to press on towards the goal because sometimes we get hurt, sometimes we feel down, sometimes we think that it's hopeless. But in Christ we have an amazing hope, and we should never ever give up on that. We should never give up on the truth and the reality of our situation. And the reality is that we have been rescued and redeemed and saved for eternity, and we are currently being restored to be made in Christ's image for the future. And when we're at school, we have a choice in living in that, walking in that, breathing that, talking that, speaking those words over our children and over our job. Or we can forget about that and get caught up in wrong kind of thinking and wrong kind of behavior. So that's just the first thing I wanted to share on these videos, and I hope that it's been helpful and an encouragement to some one of you. And I just want you to know that even though I don't come to school very often, I enjoy thinking about ways that we can improve what's happening at IICS. I also want you to know that I'm praying for you, particularly those English teachers. I love you guys, and I just hope that you enjoy the rest of this break and that videos like this might be an encouragement to you in the future. Okay, see you later.